In this lecture, I'm going to go through a quick and easy way to create chord progression without knowing much about music theory. If you know music theory, then it's all good, but if you do not, then should not stop you from making music. You'll learn eventually when you practice making beats every day. You don't need that much music theory to make a song. What sounds good is good. Here, we are in a new FL Studio project. First, add a sampler, which is essentially an empty track with nothing in it, then go to the piano roll of the sampler. Next, click on the stem tool, which is this little purple icon in the top left. Click that and you will see a drop down that contains all the different chords and scales. As you can see, we have a lot to pick from here, but for now, we'll just click major. It's simple, just pick any note from here. If we want the B major scale, we have it here. Want the A sharp major scale? We have it here. You can click any note and it'll give you the major scale of that note. For this lecture, let's just pick the D major scale. Now, let's spread the scale over 4 bars and then copy and paste it so we have the scale in several octaves. What I mean is, just move the D major scale higher or lower. Copy and click D up here, copy and click D down there. You can do this across the whole piano roll if you want to, but always make sure that the bottom note of what you are pasting is on D. Do not make them overlap or this will be wrong. Now that's done, let's finally make our chords. Add an FL keys within the same pattern. Now go to the piano roll of FL keys and you can see those are all the notes that we have added to our sampler. You now have the D major scale to paint over all your FL keys notes. How do we make our chords though? It's super easy. You click a note, skip a white line, click a note, skip the next white line, click a note. Now we have it right. Let's listen to it. That doesn't really sound lo-fi jazzy, right? All you have to do is continue the chord. So go back to your chord, skip a line and click the note. Skip the next line and click a note. Now we have created a ninth chord. This is really what you have to do to make a chord sound jazzy. This is the easiest way to make a jazzy sounding chord. So I continue on using that method I just described and made this little riff here. Quick note. Sometimes chord progressions that you make won't sound right. That's because some chords just don't sound as good when followed by certain ones within a scale, but it's really not a big deal. All you have to do is just keep messing around with your chord progression until it sounds good to you. Now let's take a listen to what I made here. That sounds not that good enough. So what we can do to make it a little more interesting? First, we can layer this. Copy the chords that we made, add in another FL keys and paste the chords. And then move them up or down an octave. A shortcut for this is to press the Ctrl up arrow or Ctrl down arrow. Now it sounds more full. To avoid sounding more full, Let's just lower one of these a little bit. Put both FL keys on a channel rack and then adjust the volumes to what sounds good. But we can do even better. A trick that I like to use is to go to the note within your chord. Usually, I go to the second from the top. Just drag it over a little bit, and now, just like that, we have a little melody and variation playing within the chords that we made. You can do whatever you want to. Maybe you can even add in some notes that are not within the chord that you made and just use the ghost notes as a guide. This sounds too major and happy, and let's put some sad sounding notes to sound more like a lo-fi track. I will show it in a new project. Add in the sampler again and click the stamp tool. We are going to make these chords in the minor scale. We basically do the exact same thing except we pick the minor natural Aeolian. Let's pick E minor this time. We do exactly what we did before. Cover your piano roll in the sampler with an E minor scale throughout all the octaves. Now add in your FL keys and make a chord progression using the same skip technique we did last time. Mess around until it sounds good. Great, we have another progression here. But what if we really not vibing with the scale we picked? Now that we made this, we can simply transpose the chords. This means we can just drag this chord progression up or down as much or as little as we want, and just like that, you are in a new scale. This is a quick way to change the scale and tone of your entire progression, and that's a quick guide on how to make lo-fi chords in the simplest way possible. It might not be the most detailed guide, but anyone can do it. It's just a quick way to dive in and get going producing music, and the more you practice, the better you will get at making songs.